Good old YouTubes, how are you guys today? Well, I want to kind of talk to you guys about how to use a light socket, the proper way on how to use one of these light sockets, by the way. And by the way, I do have a orange extension cord on there. This is a 3 wired extension cord. This has both a hot, neutral, and also a ground in here as well. The reason why I want to show you guys this light socket. By the way, you could probably use this outdoors, but it has to be in a very dry location. This is typically a indoor only light socket to be used for indoors. Mostly can be for indoors or outdoors. Does have to be very careful with it. It's important to ground your metal casing. This is just a standard 4x4 case here, junction box here. And by the way, this is not a waterproof case. This is just a standard home case, drywall case you put inside your wall behind the drywall and stuff. By the way, I have this completely secured very nicely. By the way, with the wire clamping the wire down so the wire doesn't accidentally pull out, and it's been secured with 2 screws, and the knockout's been knocked out to secure the this guy onto the metal as well. And by the way, you don't need to do this with putting a screw through the box like this. When you mount it, typically this will have a grounding screw. You would have to buy some of those grounding screws. Sometimes these boxes don't come with grounding screws. This has how many knockouts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It has 9 knockouts, and it has 4 of these holes here for you can mount them to the wall or whatever. But this can work with a standard incandescent bulb, a CFL bulb, and also a LD bulb. Any bulb that has just a standard base, this will just work just fine. And this is kind of like my, almost like kind of a view of my little test oil. It's not really a test oil, it's more like a light source when the power goes out. By the way, I can also use this on a 12-volt battery with a converter from DC to AC with using a grounded plug and stuff like that. I'm going to show you on how I hook this all up. This is just a ceramic based base for the socket. Let's go ahead and take apart the plug in here. Kind of show you what's the inside. You're just going to need a Phillips screwdriver to show you on how I hooked everything up, and I will get into the inside of my light fixture as well. It's important to have a ground on any type of metal case, because if you don't have a ground on that metal case, you're going to risk of shocking yourself and not having any type of protection at all if you only just use a 2-prong outlet. It's okay, you can use a 2-prong outlet for certain things, but if you're dealing with a metal case, I would recommend using a grounded outlet. The way I configure this, you have a very good connection on the wires. You can see the wire's been pinched pretty good. That's okay. That's not going to damage too much the copper wire here. By the way, on each of these plugs, you're going to have one hot, going to have one ground, and you're also going to have one neutral. And the way I cut this and the way I formed it to fit inside of the plug, you only need to measure on how to measure the wire itself for it to fit inside the outlet. I'd recommend going with one of these ones that have the screws the plastic, and you can just stick the wire inside and you clamp the wire down. And it's a pretty solid based wire. It's not, I mean, you can also use this for a solid based wire. This is mostly for a softer gauge wire. I have seen these plugs wired backwards on some of these plugs. Most people don't put the grounds on these. Again, not a good idea because you need that ground for your protection. And I will kind of show you what that looks like on the inside of my junction box as well. On the inside of my junction though. And by the way, this actually, when you screw it all down, it actually tightens that wire, keeps that wire nice and firmly tight on the inside. It's not going to strip the plastic. Okay, you can tug on this, and the wire is not going to be able to come out of this here, out of this end of the plug itself. One important thing when you're dealing with electrical wiring is the porting of the safety on how to use the system the right way. Let's go ahead and unscrew this just a tiny bit here before we can show you guys what the inside of this looks like. You can also turn these all the way out, but what's really nice about this plug system, or the socket, you can just turn it and you can just lift it over the screws. Alright, here's the inside. I made this apparently in 2012. Okay, here's the date. October 28th/2012. It was done on a Saturday night, 11 p.m. And I also just put my name on the inside of it. Just to keep it looking like a professional job. Now this metal case, so it's a standard 4x4 junction box with a Molex, or not Molex, wire holder for the Molex cable and stuff like that, for your old Molex cable. Now, the problem with these these are stranded wires. You guys can see that on the inside of the wire. This has two screws. It has two screws for another set of pair of lights. You can also chain lights on these. You can put up to maybe about 6 of these lights together if you really wanted to put 6 of these lights together. It has 2 brass screws for the hot, 2 silver screws for the neutral. By the way, you always wire this the correct way. You put the hot to the brass side. You put the neutral to the neutral side. You can also get away with using wire crumples. You know, like those ones that have those little metal forks on them. You can use that as well to make it actually look a little bit nicer. You can see how much wire I have in here. It's a lot. It's not much. That's enough to be able to take this apart. Tell you if I need to change the socket. And by the way, here's my ground. If you guys can see, the ground is bolted directly to the chassis. And by the way, you don't need 2 nuts to actually get this to ground right. I would recommend putting the screw in the, well, typically this is not the way you do it. You typically use a screw ground. But the way I had to do this, because I want the bottom to be flat when it's on the surface, it's not going to wobble too much. The way I hooked this up is I twisted the ground wire around the screw and put a nut over top of it before it smushes directly onto the metal chassis here. This is the only metal part, except for the Allen screws, but in this guy here, this is all, by the way, metal. It should be properly grounded. This is the proper way to ground, so you can see how much I have on my wire inside. I have about like maybe a finger or a finger worth of coating on the inside of my wire box. The reason why you want that, because you want a little bit of wire on the, you want a little bit of shielding on the inside of the box, and you want your wires in your box itself. By the way, these are a 14 gauge wire, extension cord wire. Pretty good stuff here. And they work pretty good, and I can show you how this guy does work. It really works pretty nicely when it's all wired correctly. You have the proper way, having everything properly grounded. Now again, ground is the most important thing for doing electrical projects like these. By the way, if you don't do the grounding on your cords, then you're going to have a big problem of your things are not going to work right. I'm going to take this end, going to plug it into my outlet below here, and I'm going to attach it to one of my outlets. And we're now going to have a live feed of power going directly to the socket. We also have a ground going directly to the. This is now safely for me to pick it up without getting shocked or anything. And I'm going to go ahead and stick one of my LED lights in here, and to show you it does work. Just saying, I have a perfect grounded, safe outlet to able to use the proper way, the safe socket, proper way to use the socket itself. And I'm going to unplug it for if I decide to take the top off again. I'm not going to able to shock myself. By the way, this is a pretty nifty way to make stuff. It's a pretty good way to learn about electrical and on the proper ways to wire up a 3-prong outlet. Do not skip the ground. You always must use all 3 wires inside of the cord itself. You must use the ground, the hot, and the neutral to able for the socket to work. Let's go and pop this guy back off again and show you what again the wiring of the socket itself. The ground doesn't go to the socket. The ground goes directly to the metal box of whatever the metal box is going to be. Now, if you have a plastic box, it's not going to much matter with the ground, but you still would have to ground your outlets and your switches and stuff like that. But if you're going to be planning on using a metal box, the ground has to be there to able to protect yourself of a shock or from shock or hazards. And by the way, if you want to know a bit more about electrical, go out to your local library or to a store or to a Home Depot store or Lowe's store and go buy an electrical book. It will tell you all the different codes of the wiring, what the cuddle codes of the wiring is. By the way, extension cords are going to have a green wire, not a bare copper wire like a Romex cable will have. 2 insulated wires, a black and a hot and a bare copper, but the extension cord is the opposite way. The extension cord has 3 insulated cords with a insulator on the outside to protect the wire from getting too much damaged. By the way, this is ground completely hooked up the proper way to the box, and the hot and neutral goes directly to the terminals of the screws. On the hot side goes directly to the brass side, and the silver screw goes directly to the neutral side of the to the socket itself, or to the socket or your outlet or whatever type of wiring you want to do with your light system. Now, by the way, by testing everything and by making sure it's going to work and proper function, now, if you want to use this outside, I'd recommend getting a waterproof junction box. I would not recommend using the this metal box here because it's not rated for outside. Because one thing, because the elements will get inside, like rain, water, snow, liquid can get inside of here and corrode your socket and can corrode the copper and stuff like that, and it also will rust your metal as well. Always the proper way to wire everything is using the right type of plug. Always use a 15 amp to 125 volt outlet male adapter going into a female outlet to able to get the proper voltage to have this to work right. Now, remember, some of these prongs will not always all brass. Some of these are going to have a silver brass screw, one's going to have a brass tail for the hot and a brass for the grounding. And again, be safe, guys. Do not skip on the ground. And it's important to have the box grounded right, and everything will work just fine on your socket itself. And by doing this, it's easier because now you have a grounded screws and you won't have a problem with shocking yourself here. And let's go ahead and button this guy back up and just talk to you guys a bit more about how this all works. Now, I made this a long time ago, I made it in 2012, kind of. It's mostly of a project I like to do. I like to tinker with stuff. I like to build my own electrical system, testing equipment and stuff like that. But again, you don't have to use any type of solder to solder these wires directly to the terminals. These will just go into your screws. You can also use butt connectors with those ones with the two prongs kind of thing, and it looks pretty good. Now, again, do you have to use a ground on a metal box? The answer is going to be yes. A metal box has to have a ground. A plastic box, no, it does not need a ground. But on one of these metal boxes, the answer is going to be yes. This is a 3-grounded system. It has 1 neutral, 1 hot, and 1 ground. Proper wired for the way this is going to work. This has a pretty long cable, about maybe 6 feet or maybe 10 feet. I don't know. It's a pretty old orange extension cord I had a very long time ago, and I was going to end up reusing it anyways. Typically, if you have a wire goes bad, you won't want to reuse it, but at least the copper inside is still nice and clean. If the copper was clean on the inside on both sides of the ends of the wires, they look good. I'm going to talk more about this plug here because this plug is important to wiring proper as well. Let's go ahead and unbutton this again, and we're going to explain to you guys a bit more about electrical safety here. A lot of people mix up wires. A lot of people will end up doing something wrong, and they end up shocking themselves, and that's again not a good thing because you want to be able to be safe when you're working on the electrical work. By the way, yes, you can actually use a neutral as a hot wire, but for this work, we're not going to need that. Again, this is a very safe method. This is a very thick plastic. Do not use any metal ones. I recommend using plastic ones because they are insulated. They look a little bit nicer than the metal ones. let's talk about how much do you strip off of your coating, off of your outside coating. Well, it only depends on the wire you're trying to shove into these terminals here. Now, these terminals here, these are a lot different. The way these work is you unscrew it, and the wire doesn't wrap around the screw like on these. These ones actually push in and you just tighten the screw down. And by the way, this is the silver screw. By the way, this is a brass metal plong. But it will tell you the color code right here, the silver screw. Again, the top one is always the ground. Again, do not snap off the ground. And don't skip the ground. Don't cut the ground cable off because you're going to need that for your metal box. This will be your ground. Right there. This will be your hot. Will be on this side. Again, the way these work is also a very good, safe plug to use. And the way this clamps on the wires, guys, is this clamps kind of like this on the wire itself, and it protects the wire. It gives it a good look, gives it a very nice look to actually tighten up the cable. Now, don't worry if the cables are going to get smushed, because that's what that insert does. It helps to keep that wire from coming out of the socket or out of the plug itself. Now, the way these plugs work is all different. For a thicker wire, you won't need to have those white pieces of plastic in there. You can with a thicker wire, you can actually take these two white blocks out. Okay. But for a thinner wire, you want to have both of those in there to be able to clamp down on the wire itself. Alright guys, I hope you enjoy this kind of discussion on the right way to wire your light sockets and your plug end on your metal chassis, your chassis hill, your 4x4 box hill. I hope you guys, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. Please leave a comment. Please like. Please share. Peace out. Bye guys. We'll keep you updated on the electrical system. Alright, later guys on YouTube.